What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So let me say this, man, about Charles Barkley. I know a lot of people can't stand him. They don't like him. They think he's a sellout, a coon, all of these things. And I don't object to any of it. But I will say this about Charles Barkley. He says what he means, and he means what he says. And when he called out uh, Anthony Davis the other day on Inside the NBA, and he talked about how, like, a lot of journalists, they are cowards and they put their personal friendships and their contacts and their ability to get information ahead of calling out certain players, especially players and athletes that play in larger markets. I agree 100%. And when he was saying it, the whole time I was thinking about none other than Stephen A. Smith. Now, I'm not saying that athletes and subjects can't, journalists and subjects can't be friendly. Everybody knows that Muhammad Ali and Howard Cosell were friends. Howard Cosell was the first person to defend Ali, defend his right to change his name to whatever he wanted to be able to practice any religion and honor any religion that he wanted to. He believed that Ali was righteous in his objection against the Vietnam War as a conscientious objector of the war. But he also would tell you when he thought Ali was going to lose, uh, when he thought Ali was going to, when he thought Ali was falling apart as a fighter. He went against Ali in certain fights, like I think you're going to lose. He would tell Ali in certain in interviews when he thought he was wrong or something. So he wasn't afraid to challenge Ali. It may have softened the blow a little bit, but at least he was still being honest. He softened the blow a little bit. I'll give him that. But he was being honest. But now these guys are being just totally disingenuous. And a lot of people think that I'm a Westbrook defender to a fault. But what they don't understand is I've gone after Russell Westbrook when he's played bad. I've made videos talking about how shitty he's been. But the reason why I pull my punches with Westbrook a little bit, I'm gonna tell you why I do. Not because I'm a fan of his or a fanboy or nothing like that. It's because a lot of these people in the media, it's the Harden angle that pisses me off. Russell Westbrook last year was on a Wizards team that for the last couple of years hadn't done shit, right? They hadn't done shit. At least he was able to put that team on his back and take them to the playoffs. Now, in the playoffs, of course, all of his weaknesses get exposed. Okay, yes, I agree with that, and that's what's going to always limit him as a player. But he did take that team to the playoffs, albeit in special circumstances due to the play-in tournament. But he did it. It's something Bradley Beal couldn't do. But what gets on my nerves is how when the media say that Bradley Beal is his all-time great scorer, right? But then when Russell Westbrook gets there, all of a sudden it becomes Russell Westbrook's responsibility to put that team on his back. Now all of a sudden he's the leader of that team. I thought it was a tandem. So you absolve Bradley Beal of all responsibility, kind of like how they did the same thing with Paul George when he was playing with Russell Westbrook. Paul George got the credit when he was playing very well as the MVP up until he got hurt. But then when they started faltering, all of a sudden they said, "Well, Russell Westbrook's shooting too much." Well, how that? But then when Paul George was playing well and Russell Westbrook took a back seat, then they said, "Well, Paul George needs help." I mean, it's shit like that really just shows you how the media, man, they really they're just they're just assholes, man. They really don't. Honestly, man, a lot of these people they pick, like I said before, they pick people who they don't have any relationship with. If you don't have a relationship with the media or certain top media personalities, if certain people in the hierarchy don't like you, uh, then they're going to go negative on you. They're going to go nuclear on you because there's no repercussions behind it. And then when the narrative starts becoming that you're a bad player, then so be it, right? But I do remember that when Russ was averaging that month, when he was the player of the month, he averaged 24 points, I think something like 14 rebounds and 16 assists, right? He could have been stat pad, whatever. But then all of a sudden I was hearing top 5 point guard of all time, right? All of a sudden, the media, you're hearing them say top 5 point guard, uh, bona fide. Yeah, he's top 5 point guard. I put him right there with such and such, and he's right there, right under Steph. Like, huh? I mean, once y'all got to say he sucked, now all of a sudden when he was with the Lakers, he's terrible again. That's why they don't have any credibility to me, right? But this is the thing with Stephen A. Smith. I want to get to him. When Russell Westbrook has a great game, right? When he's had a great game in the past, let's say he had a game, he had 34 points, 20 rebounds, 18 assists. He's making his shots, turnovers are low. He'll say something like, "Well, it was great. It was great, but I mean, we've seen this before. I mean, we need to see him do this in the postseason when it matters. Okay? We've seen what Russell Westbrook can do in the regular season, but we need to see this Russell Westbrook here. We need to see in the playoffs. Motherfucker, are you blind? Okay, yeah, you're right. But you don't see the same things for James Harden? Somebody tell me where are these all-time great performances from James Harden in the playoffs? But then when you bring it up with James Harden about him playing like shit this year, look, okay, James Harden has struggled a bit. He's a little out of shape. He'll get in shape. But we're talking about when he gets it going, he's one of the greatest. Nigga, how long is it going to take him to get it going? We are 30, we about a third through the season, damn near. When is he going to get it together? When is it going to get going? By the way, I was looking for him to go in on James Harden the same way he went on the middling Knicks today, right? He went up against the Knicks and was calling them all types of shit out their names, right? James Harden went back to a rebuilding Rockets team that he should have smashed, right? He should have smashed this team with a 50-point triple double, right? He goes in there and he stinks up the fucking joint. 4-16 from the floor, 8 turnovers. Only reason why he did score 25 points is because he got gifted all these fucking free throws, and it still wasn't enough. He lost to a rebuilding ass fucking Houston Rockets team. And from what I can tell, he didn't talk about it one goddamn time on ESPN First Take. But he told you that Dame Lillard needed to get out of small Portland and go play for a larger franchise, a larger market. He told you that. He talked about Steph Curry twice. He talked about other teams, but I didn't hear him talk about that one. Wonder why? Is it because you got a personal relationship with James Harden that you don't want to throw away? Hmm? Is it because that James Harden and you talk and if you got on James's bad side, he could put out some damaged information on you? Perhaps. Because we all know they got a relationship. I'm gonna tell you something else that I'm starting to think. And shout out to the subscriber I was talking about this with earlier. I'm starting to think that when he goes after Kyrie Irving, it's not just his opinion. I don't think it's just him. I think he's a Harden Whisperer, and that's as close. That's as far as I'm going to go with that one. Figured out what I'm trying to say. A lot of these dudes are full of shit, man. You got to take what they say with a grain of salt. Yes, Russell Westbrook is all these different things, but I just want to know why you don't call out James Harden for the same shit. He's only been to one finals, just like Russ. He ain't win no goddamn title. In my mind, I actually can think of many more absolute bust, horrible performances by James Harden in the playoffs than I think of Westbrook. I can think of at least a couple of great playoff games Russ had. Didn't he drop 51? I think it was in a loss, but I remember him dropping 50 something a point in a game against Utah, a series he should have fucking won, if I'm not mistaken. But I do remember a couple of good Westbrook performances. All I can think of with James Harden, 0 for 27 choke job, Game 7, 2018, I think it was, when Chris Paul helped give you a 3-2 lead that you fucking blew when he got hurt with a hamstring injury. Then the next year, you get to play Golden State at Houston without Kevin Durant. You're at Houston. You win that game, then it's a game 7 for all the marbles. What do? James Harden, yeah, you dropped 35 points. James, but you should have scored 50 because you did nothing in the fourth quarter. I think you scored 4 points in the fourth quarter, and you had four of your 6 turnovers in the fourth quarter. While Steph Curry dropped like 20 of his 33 in the second half. I remember a series where you got blown out by the Spurs by 40 points. They didn't have 3 of their best fucking players. I remember the 2012 finals when you shot 19% from the floor. I remember another series where you blew a lead. I think it was against Portland. All I know when I listen to James Harden is choke job after choke job after fucking choke job after choke job after choke job. And all you say is, well, he'll get together. You fucking fraud. Harden's a fraud, and Stephen A. Smith is a fraud as a journalist.